Well, hello, friends, and welcome to January. Thank you for being my patrons. If you're watching this in January, if you're watching this at the end of January, if you want to see stuff earlier, you can become a patron over at Patreon. The link is in the description box below. But for January, the rules I have set for myself for the year are I'm going to try to mimic the visual color shapes of the inspo photo from Stitch Palettes. And mimic the image. I'm not going to show it to you here. It's in the Patreon pattern. But I'm going to try and mimic that with all seed or straight stitches. And my goal is to not have any color touching itself, to force myself into seed stitch, and also to force myself to make it very random, because I could easily spend way too long trying to make like perfect outlines of things if I let myself attach the yarn or the thread. I also am setting a rule for darkest color of the last month will be the barrier. The lightest color will be the outside of the calendar, and the darkest color again will be the lettering for the month. And then the rest of them are just all from the Stitch palette. And I've kind of scribbled in some vague shapes. I'm going to try to get some like weather movement from the photo in. It looks like the wind is blowing and blowing snow in a sideways direction. So I'm going to try and get some of that effect using this as the lightest color. So I used 3 strands of DMC on this whole area, and it is just plain backstitch. If you want your backstitch to be real tidy, don't do the backstitch where you have to come up through the next stitch. Do the super wasteful one where you just keep going backwards and piercing backwards through the end of the last stitch. It's much crispier to come up and then go down through the other stitch rather than pull up through a stitch. It's much messier, like tension wise. So just keep going backwards and you got a much crispier outline. Anyway, I'm gonna go get to work on this. I don't have a super easy way to film under this light, but I will work on that as we progress through the year, and I will update you as this is coming along. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, because I was thinking of using like different yarn weights to like get the color points across. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. It's a little scary, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's about being abstract. It's about being imperfect, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so here is our first pass at January. I have used the medium and the darker blue-gray. Now I'm going to go back in with the darkest color and get some of the like tree shapes in, and still the goal is to not have anything touching. So this is trying to give some of like the weather feels that the photo was giving off. So now I'll work some trees, which are technically the backdrop, and then we'll move to like the buckwheat and grasses that were in the front, and then snow at the end. All right, after the first pass here, I hope you can see a little bit more what I meant about like the trees being mixed in with the storm. I'm not sure if I'll add a little more over the top because it's like a very foggy look, but it's okay at the moment. I'm now going to do the kind of grassy bits that are the taller, darker bits in the back of the foreground, and I'm using 3 strands this time. I did 2 strands on the tree to kind of change the depth with just thickness of thread. All right, there's the second pass where we've put in 3-stranded colors of grass. I thought about going back over this to make this look like it was in the background, but I think it'll muddy it up too much. So now we're down to just adding the snow, which I'm going to add with all 6 strands so that it really kind of sticks out and looks dissonant from the background, because it's really just this lighter blue, which is not standing out a whole bunch. That's our lightest color on the palette. So I think we'll be better off just doing chunky little snow balls, I guess, in the sky. And then will we be done with January? All right, let's go do the last bit. I think this will do it for January. It was kind of a like foggy, misty scene where the wind was clearly blowing in that direction. I decided to just go with straight lines. I did one test one over here where I tried to make the buckwheat or whatever weed it is, grassy thing, whatever it is in the picture. I tried to make one that like curved without touching itself and like being separate stitches like these were. It did not work. It looked horrible and you could not tell what it was. So I went with just big straight stitches. It still gives the vibe, just not the grass is like curly. And then those were worked in 3 strands, and then the actual snowflakes, I suppose, or the blowing snow is done with the full 6 strands. I think it captured it fairly well. It broke up the trees a bit more. I could have been more heavy-handed, but I wanted you to be able to tell they were trees. Again, this is a deeply shrunken version of a picture. Well, anyway, I hope you are enjoying this. I can't wait to see what each and every one of you do for your January stitch along if you are participating. If you are new to this idea, check down in the comments below. You can come stitch along with us. And if you are a patron, I can't wait to see what you did with yours. And you're seeing this significantly earlier than everybody else. So, hello, you're here in the future, except it's now it will be the past for everybody else. It's currently the future for you. It's now for me. It's fine. That got real autistic at the end. Anyway, we're done with January, and I'll see you next month. Bye!